So I did not know I wanted to be a builder ever. And don't you wish, like, I wish somebody told me that when I was like 25, like intentionally growing the business and our family ecosystem together. I'm going to go play pickup ball against the guys every day.
Hello, welcome to the Dre Smiley, the Inner Circle Podcast.
All right, so I'm excited to have our next guest here, Erin Stetzer. I'll read a quick bio here, then we'll kick things off. Erin Stetzer is a graduate master builder with over 20 years of home construction experience. She launched Stetzer Builders in 2003 with the ambition to be the most service-driven builder in the luxury home construction industry. To deliver on that goal, Erin pairs a superior product with a remarkable client experience, all founded upon her team's reliability, transparency, and trusted efficiency. She attributes her no-nonsense, systematic approach to her time spent playing D1 basketball at Fairfield University, where she learned the value of hard work and perseverance, as well as the importance of setting high standards for yourself, her team, and her surroundings. Erin's dedication to her craft, commitment to providing exceptional service, and her overwhelming success as a working mom in a male-dominated industry have earned her a reputation as one of the region's top builders. You can find Erin on Instagram and YouTube, where she shares a daily look at projects and in progress and her journey as a female business owner while answering questions about custom home construction along the way. With that, Erin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Awesome. So I have a lot of questions. The first, I guess, is how did this come about, your desire to get into becoming a builder, a master builder? And then I have questions about what is a master builder? Actually, let's start there. What is a master builder?
Yeah. So each state has their own criteria for building. And so we happen to be in Texas. And what you do is you go through some formal training to be a builder. You have to have a certain amount of experience before that. So you may have to have 5 or 10 years of experience building for maybe another builder or having your own company. And then you go through a series of courses and you graduate as a master builder.
Gotcha. Awesome. So it gives you more credibility, essentially.
It does. And it also, we're always learning, like anyone in any industry, as long as we're learning and getting better, that's really kind of the secret to success too.
Okay. And so talk about how you got started. Like as a child, where's your goal to become a D1 ball player? And then after that, you leverage that skill and knowledge as a D1 player, perseverance, resilience, etc.
So I did not know I wanted to be a builder ever. But as I look back, basketball was exactly that. So I grew up in Ohio.
Okay.
And I was exposed to the University of Texas basketball camp. So it was like a big thing, to fly to Texas and go to camp every year. And at that time, they were probably top 5 in the nation. So I was really exposed to like, whoa, like if I really focus on this could be really cool. And I could pay for college and, make a life. And so, so that's what happened. I was exposed early on to, Olympians on that team.
Wow.
Which then really just fueled, focusing. At some point in high school, I did have to narrow down the sports, kick out the soccer, kick out the golf, kick out the whatever, and really focus in on that. But there was one rule. I remember sitting down with my parents and I was like, sophomore year, I was like, I don't know, like, do you think I'm even good enough for this? I really want to get a Division I scholarship. And, and I don't know if my parents had a good answer to that.
Yeah.
But what came out of it was, I'm going to go play pickup ball against the guys every day.
Wow.
And that's how I'm going to do this.
Wow.
So literally after school, I would get home. get my stuff on. I'd go straight to pick up. It was not a comfortable thing. And of
Sure.
course, yeah, like these guys are a lot better than me. And I was like, I'm just going to have to get kicked in the shins and knocked down and
Yeah.
try to even get picked for a team. Like,
Yeah.
imagine that. Like,
Right.
nobody wants the girl.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're all sweaty and gross. And,
You know how guys
but
are.
they are. Yeah. Yeah. But it was,
Yeah.
it was the number one thing that got my head into a position of like, I can do this. Like if I can look these guys face to face, and then I'm actually being, a year later being picked to be on their team, like there's some fuel behind this.
Yeah. As you share that story, I can vividly picture the skills that you leverage in the industry you're in today in terms of I'm not going to let any obstacles prevent me from achieving my goal, no matter what they are. Instead, I'm going to jump into the ring and figure it out. Right. And so that's kind of what you painted
Yes.
there in terms of going to play pickup ball with the guys. Today, that's commonplace. I often see
Mm-hmm.
girls playing ball at the
Mm-hmm.
gym with the guys. And more than often, some of these girls are better, like way better, like handles, shooting. It's incredible. It's incredible. So I'm glad you shared that story. And so talk about what was the first exposure to being a builder?
So my grandfather, he taught a sheet metal class and made a living there. And every time he would visit us in the summers, we would always do a project together, and we would like build a little solar system or, build a battery. And so like I knew like there was an interest in projects. And then also I would walk frames, like when homes were going up, I would just walk through frames going up of homes and just kind of more of like awe and wonder, like I cannot believe like someone's hand and a nail like completely put this thing up, this entire frame up. Like I was like, is that humanly possible? So I was really intrigued by that. But as far the real answer is, after college, I was in corporate America doing like the sales thing. I was a horrible salesperson. Like I just wasn't into it. And I had moved to Houston. I knew two people, my aunt and uncle. And Houston's a big city. And I met my husband in Houston, and he took a job as a builder. And I was like, whoa, like, I want to do this. And I'm like, if he can do this, I can totally do this better. So he lasted probably 2 years. And he's like, I'm out, man. Like,
Right.
this is the
It's not for
worst job
me.
ever. Yeah. Yeah. So he got out, I got in and joined a larger company and learned on their turf. And
Awesome.
that's where it started.
So when you learned on their turf, did they put you in an apprentice program? Did you learn plumbing first, electricity first, or did you learn to read architectural blueprints? Or so let's say there's a young person, male or female, that says, I want to be a builder. I'm coming out of college and I detest corporate America. How do you get on a crew? Or how do you what's the first step into that journey?
Right. So there are several steps. In colleges, you can get a construction management degree, and that essentially prepares you for the industry. The other route is I had zero experience. And in fact, it took me, I worked for a production builder. So it's a builder where you see like 30 or 40 homes going up in a neighborhood. And so that's called a production builder. And there are big companies.
Okay.
Like I worked for David Weekley Homes. There's Pulte, Lennar, big companies that you can, when you start there, they train you. So there's a training program. You learn how to schedule, you learn how to negotiate contracts. So they essentially take you through the entire system. And then they also have like a book that, like you said, foundation. Well, what happens I have no idea what happens when I build a foundation. And I could read this book and do my little checklist. And then I would have someone, you would have someone mentor you along the way. So, and that can take a year or two. to get your feet underneath you. But I think that's probably the best way to learn, because you're sort of thrown in the fire, but you have some backup.
No, that's cool. And
Mm.
tell me, so from a master carpenter, master builder's perspective, when you see these reality shows on TV with people building, two ladies and a hammer and different things, this old house, are you looking at it with your professional eye, or are you looking at it from an entertainment, like, yeah, that's just for TV because that's 80% accurate, or that's 25% accurate? Or do you ever watch those reality shows, or what's a professional's perspective when they see those twin brothers in New England? One is the architect, one is the constructor. I mean, what would you say? Because they all look impressive to me, because I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, right. So I think it is entertainment. What happens, like, even when we're being interviewed to build a home, there's this built-in perception that you can build it really fast and you can have the most amazing quality, and the budget's really small. And like, that's what these shows tell you. And it's just that formula. I haven't figured that formula out, right? So you can build fast and it'll cost less. You can have, the highest level quality, but it takes a long time to build. So I think if a reality TV show could, pair maybe two of the three things, right? So there's like speed, budget, and quality. If they could pair two of those together, I think it would be realistic.
I know, because you had me walking. I looked at one of your YouTube videos, and you said they're doing the painting, but I want to make sure they do the inner trim. And then after I looked at it, I ran into my house and looked. They didn't do the inner trim. So I was like, wow.
There's
So
so much.
yeah, the details. I was like, she's like, you got to make sure they do this because I want it to match. It has to go the same. And I went and looked at my trend. I was like, they didn't make it match. But I didn't even know to look there until I saw your video. Now I feel some type of way.
And it's so interesting because we learn, like, you can do the production building route, but seriously, like, everything, like a great builder learns from their trades. Like, from my painters, my foundation people, like, they are so deep in the weeds of details. And then, like, if like we just pay attention for a minute, we're like, oh my gosh, that's how you do it. Right. So just the skilled craftsmanship and the care that people who are working on a home give. I mean, they really care.
Yeah, something you mentioned earlier that resonates with me because I have friends that work in property management, and do repairs, things like that. They're not builders, but they've shared with me that when they are looking at doing a small rehab or repair, that they always look at those three things you mentioned earlier, which are cost, quality, and price, and figure out which two are most important because you'll never have all three. When you're building for someone, you mentioned you being interviewed, right? And so let's say that Smiley and I are trying to build the ultimate man cave, and we come to you. What does that look like? Take us through the types of things that you ask us, or that we might ask you to ensure that we're a perfect fit for one another. You being our builder, what does that look like?
Right. Okay. So two things happen when we, like, if we were to meet and talk about this. One is that relationship, and two, creating the team that, or the resources around you to then achieve your goals. So, for example, if you wanted to create a man cave, we'd have an architect. We'd also have, a sound architect, right? So in my head, I'm thinking, who are the resources? Like, this is what they want. My job is to plug in the resources so that that everybody can deliver on your goal. So that's the first step, like figuring out resources. So architect, sound architect, designer, energy efficiencies consultant, uh, and package that, and then really the builder. I think really the builder could be a really great guide in the beginning, but we're really up last. Like we're not your first stop, or in my mind. I mean, I think maybe some builders want to take hold of that and get the sale and try to control this thing. But really, we need to get you aligned with the right people first, and then we can step in and give you budget feedback and give you time feedback and make sure you're in the right hands. And if we need to pivot, we pivot and provide another resource.
Gotcha. That's good information because it's different than what I was thinking. I was thinking that the builder is essentially, and maybe add some clarity to this for me. So I was thinking the builder was like the GC, and so you're my point person for the entire project. So I would come to you and say, "Hey, Smiley and I want something that's a little bit bigger than a tiny house, placed in this location." And we would talk to you, you would talk to us, we'd figure out how to make it happen, and you would be our single point of contact from beginning to end. But it sounds like that's not.
Typically, people will start off with someone they know or are familiar with, and it could be an architect first. It could be a builder first.
Okay.
It could be a designer first.
Gotcha.
The key there, though, is, or the distinction I've seen is like, it's not about me in the beginning. Like I see a lot of people or builders like, this is about me. I want to take hold of this thing and I'm going to plug them in with this architect because I have a great relationship with them. I don't really care if they're a fit, but like I want control of this whole thing now. And I think that's where projects can go sideways. Does that make sense?
It does.
It does.
So
it
it's really just stepping back, serving others first, providing value. And then if it works out, great, like that would be awesome to build with you guys, right? So if it doesn't, then we need to find you the right builder.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the detail. So as a builder in today's market, right? A couple challenges that I imagine you're facing. One is finding, because I know you have your team that handles, I looked on your website, you have a very capable team, it appears. But then like the people that are doing the work, like, you mentioned the painters and the carpenters, electricians, things like that. First question, is it difficult to find those resources today? Quality resources? Because it seems like there's a shortage in labor everywhere. And how are you meeting that challenge?
So I think that depends on where someone is building. We happen to be in Houston, so it's a really, I don't know, maybe 5 million people. So for us, there are a ton of average trades. The challenge for us is really finding the 1% and developing with them, because once they show me something, like Smiley mentioned, like the paint, once I know that, I've just elevated our game just by watching that. I can't go backwards. So meaning that niche of contractors, it's the 1% in Houston. And so we do have to, in order to keep them and keep them happy, like we treat them like they're our clients. Like they are our clients. We need to schedule on time for them because when they show up, they need to make money, right? If they show up and we're not ready, they're losing money. So again, we're treating them as if they're our clients, and they really are. I love our guys and girls. And so like, I know I went off on a tangent here, but that's how.
No, you're good.
So that's how we have created sort of our larger ecosystem of a team.
Okay. And so you haven't really faced the challenges that some have mentioned in terms of finding quality labor, because Houston has such a large population and you're able to kind of pick and choose and kind of build people that you can trust.
Yes.
That makes sense. Tell me this, with rates and things like that the way they are now, what changes have you
Mm-hmm.
seen? My guess is that probably 2021, 22, your business was exploding, I imagine. And what changes have you seen since then with, interest rates and
Right.
things
So
like
I,
that?
I think that depends on the price point. So if I'm going to buy a home and I'm not in a hurry to move, and the interest rates are high, I'm going to hold.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
um, if I'm not going to require a loan, we've seen prices drop on land, and we're going to go after that land. So that's the push and pull that we're seeing. Um, some are just holding, and some are saying this is a great opportunity. And they're also watching, the lumber markets coming down. Supplies are starting to
Hmm.
stabilize. It's easier to budget now. Um,
Yeah,
Before it was difficult to budget based.
it's all over the
Yes,
map.
yes. So that's what
Hmm.
we're seeing.
Okay. Okay. And then another question before I pass it over to Smiley. So, do you guys do any buy and hold, or are you just builders and that's your niche and that's what you stick with?
So we are pure builders. So all of
Okay.
our clients are referred. So um,
Okay.
yeah, so they're based on either architectural relationships, designer relationships,
Okay.
to where if someone's drafting a home, the architect and the client have a good feel for what they want in the end product, and also the experience they want. So we're heavy, heavy, heavy on providing the best experience, of your lifetime, because, well, maybe not of your lifetime, but we want your home. We want to,
One
yeah,
of them.
because
Yeah.
it can be stressful, it can be emotional, and we understand that. And so we really, really focus in on, like, how do we elevate this situation every day with people, because we know it can be difficult.
The question I have
Makes
is I'm
sense.
actually in the process of working with an architect because I have some land and we're building. This is my first, I had real estate, but this is my first time building it from the ground up. And when you mentioned, I was like, did I start the wrong way? So when you said the architect, because he's my neighbor, I started with him, but he didn't mention a design person. What's the difference between an architect and a designer? Is that interior designer
Right.
or, oh, interior? Okay, that makes sense. So,
So interior designer, and so, like, some architects actually handle the interior design, and then there's furniture and window coverings, and so yes, so it'd be interior designer that I mentioned. Yeah.
I didn't realize because we're going through the permit phase now. So we came up with
Mm-hmm.
the plans and I had to go. I'm in Tampa, Florida. So we had to submit it to the
Oh, nice.
architect review. I'm in a historic part. So we had to go to the city and then the architect. He says it's going to take, or the architectural review board, he said just to get the paperwork approved before we hit a nail, it's six to 7 months just to get all the permits
Ooh,
approved. And this, so there's so much growth here in Tampa. It's insane. Just it takes 60 days for them to hear you. So we're
really?
doing that process, yeah. And I was just wondering because I'm in the midst of it. So when we found out you're going to be on, I was so excited because I'm living that. And he said, no, we don't need a builder yet. He says after we get all approved, we get the construction documents, all these documents, then we could go and find a builder, which is all right. That's
That
cool.
makes sense.
Yeah, it
Yes.
does. So thank you for saying that.
So Smiley, I know a good builder out of Houston if you're looking for one.
Are you only in Texas, or are you nationwide like David Wheatley or Leonard or Toll Brothers? Or are you just
Yeah,
in
so
Houston?
we're just in Houston. Oh, it's interesting. We have a rule even in building, like in the niche that we're in, because everything is so critical with timing and reworking and
Mm.
pivoting, that we have a rule that we only work within 8 miles of our office, so that we can get to these
Wow.
places quickly and make decisions. pull in our resources. So anyway, that was just kind of a tidbit.
Wow, I love
No, I
that.
love that rule because I have the land is when I turn 60, which isn't too far away, my goal is I want to be able to walk to my tenants or use a wheelchair if I need one so I can roll back and forth on the block. So I got a 2 block radius and you have an 8 mile radius. So I have a 2 block radius of what I want to do. So,
You're in the
but
action all the time.
yeah, always. I can see them. Each way I roll, I can see them. But the question is more gender based. Have you found that since you've been in construction and other representatives, ladies, because I have a daughter who's 15 and I
Oh,
tell her you could
nice.
do anything and it's amazing when they see someone to have other young ladies like I want to be like you or I want to get into this, but I didn't know that women did this or are you finding any of that or people are like, wow, she owns her own building company. I want to build too. I got ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I think female or male, I think it's important to draw from inspiration regardless,
Mhm.
you know? And so, we have 3 girls and 2 boys, and I think girls and boys think differently. Um,
Mhm.
Yes, they
yes,
do. I have a
you
son and
do. So
daughter.
there you go. So I think the boys are like from the moment they were born, they're like, I know how to do this, I got this, and they go. And the girls, they calculate, they analyze, they sort of take a poll, and then they decide whether to go or
Mhm,
not. And so,
mhm,
so I think even from a female perspective, like one thing I do every day, I have to get my mind right because there's a whole routine I have to go through, and I have since I was probably in high school because of basketball. I listen to at least 30 minutes of something on mindset in a podcast or YouTube or something
mhm,
while I exercise. I have to get my exercise in to burn just like the just my head is spinning and I have to get it stabilized. Um, and then you've seen these ice baths. I do a 2-minute ice bath after exercising because that's I want to hit something really hard first thing so that the rest of my day sort of feels like I can maneuver easily. So I think with girls, and I can't speak for all women and girls, but I do think that because we can become hesitant, like we have to form these habits to get in the game early and on
Mhm.
purpose.
And do you
mhm.
find that I thought it was so cool when you said I'm going to go to D1. I got to play ball with the guys. I just have to. And you jumped into it. You played. You said you got to get your knees hit a little time or your shins
Mm-hmm.
hit. But then when you look at construction, you jumped in into with all the men in the construction and just getting it done. Just
Yes,
I'm in there. Here I come.
that's right. That's right. I am coming in. Watch out. So the coolest thing though, I absolutely love working with men, and it's because they're very linear. It's A to B. Like this is where we are,
Mhm.
this is where we're going.
Are you saying we're
Simple.
simple?
I,
No, I'm
I
joking.
didn't. You know what? That was my it is, and it's refreshing because men are
Yeah.
simple. Like there's no
Mhm.
drama or confusion or
Complexity.
complexity, and
Mhm,
it's A
mhm,
to B. Let's get there
mhm,
and figure out how to do this.
mhm.
So I absolutely love working with
No,
men.
that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense, and that's kind of how I approach things actually in terms of, you know, either it's X or it's Y.
Yes.
There's no it could be Y, it could be X, maybe I don't know. And true enough, what's great is if you have someone that complements that, right? Because sometimes, we look at something as simply black and white, and there's something that's could be considered that we're not considering. So I think whether you're a man or a woman who thinks linearly, right? Someone who kind of thinks out of the box is also necessary to have on that team. Speaking of teams, so talk about how you built your team. I looked online and saw you have a team of about 6, all women. They look like they are skilled, qualified, things like that. How did you go about finding that team, and talk about the culture that you've created.
Yes. So, I think the first 10 years it was a lonely game, right? It was me, and I was bringing the kids
Mm,
with me to construction sites, and trying to
mm,
run a business and not sleep. So it was just very tough and lonely and you know, full of great things, but it was hard, right? So then it became
yeah.
time to grow the team, and I had one criteria, and the criteria was our kids were in school, and I really observed who the great moms were. I was like, who are the best moms that I know? And I hired them. So I, the first hire, extremely capable. She has her MBA from Rice University. She was a gas
Mm,
trader for a bit, had her own business, and she was just one of the best moms I had ever met. So
mm,
I asked her if she would work. They didn't know anything. None of these people knew anything about construction, but I was like, they're gonna learn,
okay.
but I need quality
Mm,
individuals. So, and then the same thing,
mm,
each of them have their own skills. Like one is super awesome in the budgeting, and the other one is, we call her our
mm,
concierge, right? So she's constantly like checking in on homeowners and making sure we remember to send flowers here, or hey, have you heard so and so is
mm,
going through a tough time? And so just really
mm,
just like, she was like the ultimate volunteer. um,
mm,
so that's what she does. And then,
mm.
and then the other two have their own specific things that they do well. So that was really the criteria. There was no magic sauce behind it.
So you mentioned that one of the key criteria for at least one of the hires was being a great
Hmm.
mom. What is a great mom? Describe that.
Yeah. So showing up for your kids, you know,
Hmm.
all their games. Nobody wants to be sweating in 100-degree heat, while the kids are playing baseball, and then coordinating multiple kids. So, right, so one has baseball, the other one has soccer, the other one has gymnastics, but I need to feed them, right? So
Mm,
all of that coordination that takes place just gracefully, right?
yeah.
This is it, it gets done, period. Um,
Right.
you know, Kids go through tough times with each other, sixth grade,
Hmm.
seventh grade, eighth grade, and it's the phone call from one mom to me, and we say, hey, we noticed they're having a tough time, and it's getting kind of clicky. Like, maybe
Mm,
we could just like all go get some ice cream and just kind of be there
mm.
for the kids, and you know see if we can notice anything that we can help with. So, like, just an awareness, a paying attentionness.
I,
I like it.
when you said just being there, I remember my daughter. She's 15, and she's a sophomore in college, and or high school rather, and she's talking about going to college. And when I asked one of the fathers 15 years ago, like, I don't know how to be a father. I know how to do Smiley. I don't know how to do young little people. And he said to me, just be there. That's it. Just show up. And
Mm,
I did all the volleyball games. It was volleyballs, and it's the ballerinas, and the tap dancing and all the little art festivals. He's just like, just be there. That's all you got to do. If you're
mm,
there,
Yeah.
then it'll work its
Yeah.
way out. And I didn't tell Dre this, but I picked her up on Friday, brought her home, and she's like, well, when she was 10, when I go to college, you and mom have to live in the same city with me because I don't want to be alone. And now she said
aw.
she's 15 now. That's what she said at 10. At 15, she's like, well, when I go away, you guys will be here in Florida. I was like, you don't want us to come with you? No, I don't want you coming with me. I'm going to college. I'm like, and then I quoted what she said. She's like, I don't remember that. I was like, okay, so, but just being there, it just
Yeah.
took me back to that. And the question I want to have
That's
as Dre
true.
is like building a team, and
Mm,
that scaling process. It's we had some few other business owners. How does it feel when you're the single person doing everything? You're a boxer, but now you're a team of five. you're on the basketball squad. You're not playing one-on-one, and you got to delegate. You got to assist. You got to let them. They have different strengths, and that's usually the biggest challenge in crossing the chasm. Because if it's only you, it'll get done. Now I need to step back so they can make the dunk, or they could do the 3-pointer instead of me taking it with a buzzer left or 2 seconds left. How did that feel?
Right.
Was it scary?
I think I was well trained in basketball because I was the point guard. So I had to know.
How did I know that? How did I know that? That does not surprise
me.
So
you didn't dunk. You were doing all the. Did you see those assists on the Princeton game yesterday? That guy had eyes behind. Oh, it was amazing last night. The Creighton Princeton game. This guy had it was so many assists. It's like, where did you see him? And it was just amazing.
Yeah, like three. Their next 3 steps, and that's where the ball is, right? You put the ball there.
Yeah. That's right. Have you watched any games this tournament at all?
I haven't. I need to step it up.
Yeah, I haven't either. Yeah. I watched one, and coincidentally, it was one of the best games. You probably heard about it. It was Kansas State and Michigan State. And what was the point guard's name from Kansas State? At any rate, we're getting off on a tangent as us basketball heads. Yeah. But it doesn't surprise me that you were the point guard. So you were saying, I'm sorry.
So the team thing, right? So that was one of, I've always, I think there's a big difference between a team sport and an individual sport. And right. So we've all tried both, and where do you land? Some people love the individual sport, golf, tennis, tried those, but I was more of a team person. And even in sports, every year it's a new team. So you have to develop, especially as the point guard, a new team every single year. Yeah. And then people get hurt, and then you have to replace that player. And so, it's constantly a focus on elevating everyone on the team. So I couldn't wait to form my team. I did not like the first 10 years of just gutting it out.
Yeah. It's admirable that you were able to achieve such success, right? Being a mom of 3 and sharing your time between those first 2 years and raising these 3 children. You mentioned taking your children to the construction site at times. At times, my dad would work evenings, and my mom would as well as a nurse. And I remember fondly going to work with her to the emergency room. Was it an emergency? At any rate, we'd sleep on the beds, hospital beds, and we'd wake up in the morning and have these hospital, meals and all that. Obviously, that couldn't happen today, but back then, moms, even today, do whatever it takes to make it happen. It's just something that's, that I really admire in moms. One quick story: Smiley shared a story about the importance of being there, which you clearly exhibit, as a mom and a business owner. As a kid, I was probably, I don't know, maybe 11, let's say, maybe 12. And we lived near a ski slope. It was like a ski resort. And so I was begging my mom to come watch me ski because me and my buddies were going to go ski, right? And she's like, I can't, I have a lot going on or whatever. So I understood, I knew, she was busy. And so I'm going with my boys, and we're having a good time, and skiing without poles. I get to the bottom of the hill, and she's standing there. So it's one of the things.
Were you so what happened inside you? Were you just
over the moon?
Yeah.
It was just, it was a moment. Yeah. It was literally a moment, but one that I've never forgotten.
I just got chills. So, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's something that all 3 of us talked about, the importance of being there. So it doesn't take much. It's the quality. It's not the quantity. It's the quality.
The way I look at it with moms, and because we're talking about houses and building, moms is the foundation of your kids. She's the rock. That's a foundation. No house, whether commercial or residence, will stand unless it's on a strong foundation. And that's what mom is. Mom is the foundation that allows us to go up and come back, but we know we're on stable ground when mom is there with her support. So You gave me the chills
Yeah.
too, Dre. What you trying to do, man?
Right.
All right. Okay,
All right.
so
And you got to wonder, like, what was going on in her mind, like the whole
yeah,
thing there, where she's like, I want to be there, like when Dre gets to the bottom.
yeah, it's one of those things as an adult with children now, that things like that play over and over and over again in my head. Last night, me and my daughter went and had dinner, and I got lucky because her friend wasn't able to come over, and so I was like, "Well, let's go find something to eat." She was like, "Okay." I'm like,
Oh,
"Yes."
yay!
But I was sharing with her. I was sharing with her that there's things that I experienced as a kid with my parents that you know, I I couldn't appreciate. I didn't have the capacity. There's things that I'm doing with her and that her mom's doing with her that she, it's just kind of like, here we go again. Anytime I'm telling her a story or sharing something, you always say that. I'm like, listen, when you're 25 years old, you'll appreciate this. I
Yeah,
know you don't care right
yeah,
now.
remember it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and like dads are amazing. I know we're talking about moms, but like
Mhm.
just the difference that dads make. Like I just watch my husband, and he's so good at saying no. Like I always want to try to like do more, like
It's a
do.
gift we have as
Yeah,
dads.
it is, and it's clear as day. The answer is no, move on, right?
Right.
Yeah, and there's strength behind that, and there's keeps the constraints real with kids growing. So like dads are incredible, and they offer, like when you get the mom and the dad together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're blessed.
That's great. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me this before we kick off the final four here. What's one thing that people don't know about you that you wish they knew?
Hmm. I have scorecards for everything. So like
Doesn't surprise me.
The athlete.
Yeah, right.
yeah,
The point guard.
that's right. So I do have scorecards, and I have one every day I fill out. Like I have three things: energy, work, and family. And
Mhm.
those three things in each of those categories have to be done. And it changes every day, but it's a very intentional. Like I don't maybe appear as intentional because I'm typically making quick decisions in work and family, but I'll take a good 3 hours in the morning to go through, you know, my whole workout routine, my ice bucket routine, my praying, my meditating, my journaling
Mhm.
every
Mhm.
day, just to set the foundation for anything that I'm going to face. So I don't know if, I mean, that's a big one. I think just the intentional creating of
Sure.
something. Like I'm not okay with things just happening or even expecting
Mhm.
anything from anyone. I don't expect
Mhm.
anything from anyone. Like
Mhm.
I'm responsible for creating this, and this is what I plan to do. And if I need to change course, I'll change course, but I'm in charge.
Mhm.
I love that. I
Love it.
read a
Love
quote
it.
yesterday. It said, I don't even remember the author. He said, "You are the author of your own life. You write your own chapters, you write your own sentences, you write your own outline, and you're the author of your life." I was like, man, that's pretty profound, but I never thought about it that way. So,
Right.
Mhm.
And don't you wish, like, I wish somebody told me that when I was like 25, because I was like,
true.
oh, well,
Yeah.
maybe I'll just do this, or maybe it'll happen. Well,
Right.
no, it's not
Yeah.
going to happen. You got to go
Right.
do it.
Right.
Yeah. You got to be
Got to make it
You
intentional.
got to
happen.
make it happen.
Well,
Yes.
Yeah.
well, we're going to move into the final four. So these questions are just, we ask all of our guests these questions. And so the first final four question is, alive or dead? You're having dinner. There's only four tables, four chairs at the table. You're in one of them. Who are the other three representatives sitting with you for dinner, alive or dead, and why?
Oprah, number one. Like I would
Oprah.
put three Oprahs there if I could.
Three
I
Oprahs.
love Oprah. Three Oprahs right there.
That
We're
works.
done.
Three Oprahs.
Yep. She's everything. I mean, she
Yeah.
really is.
Mhm.
She's had her challenges. Speaking about intentional, I mean,
Mhm.
that is
Mhm.
a woman who is filled with intention. It drives her life. She's
Mhm.
giving, she's supportive, like she's just everything.
All right,
to
awesome.
me.
Love it. Okay. All right. What's been your greatest success, personally or professionally?
I think patience with
Mm,
growing, like intentionally growing the business and our family ecosystem together. One didn't take precedence over the other. Um, and I think it does take a lot of patience because I want it now, right? In building, you get quick feedback. With families, it's a lot of work. And then, like Smiley mentioned, at 10, they're like, oh, I want to be with you forever. But it took 10 years, right? So like
Right.
for her to say that, now she's out. She's at
yeah.
15. Like,
right.
yeah.
Right. Right.
So I think the patience of just knowing that and having the faith that both work and family can be extraordinary together.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Like it.
All
Mhm.
right. So what is your superpower? The Hulk has his strengths. Superman flies,
Mm.
but what's your unique superpower that's uniquely you? Being the point guard that can dunk on Dre with the left hand or the right hand.
Drake has me.
John Starks and Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dre's got me for sure. Forget it. I think taking complexity and breaking it down into small micro transactions and wins to get to the final goal. So when you think about a house, if you have a 15,000 square foot home and all of these little millions of little pieces go into this, and even the people executing have bad days. Well, taking, knowing they're having a bad day and just getting them to a place where like, hey, this is, like, stop working, let's catch up for a little bit, right? And get them in the right spot. So I think, yeah, taking something really complex and boiling it down into micro wins.
Nice. So, if you were to write a biography, what would the title be? An autobiography.
Yeah. Breaking ground.
Ooh,
I like
that.
Yep.
that.
I
Yeah.
would
Like that.
take that
Wow.
shovel.
Breaking
Yep.
ground. Well, we really want
Breaking
to
ground.
thank you. This has been amazing, Erin. I just learned so much, and it evolved in so many different directions. So I want to thank you for taking time on your weekend to speak with us about your journey, your life, and your experiences. And once again, thanks again. I appreciate you. We appreciate you.
And I'll just add to what Smiley said. Yeah, I have no interest in building a home, but if I were, I'd come to Houston just so I can have you build a home
Yay!
for me.
Yay! We might have too much fun.
Well, it's interesting. And Smiley and I talk about this. There's certain guests that we have on where it feels like it's effortless, right? You don't have to figure out, what to say and what to ask. You're one of those guests where the whole interview has been pretty, it's been pretty effortless. Like Smiley said, we definitely appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be on the podcast and sharing what it's like to be a business owner, a mom, um, and being successful in both. So we appreciate your time.
Well, thank you guys. I think you guys are doing some great things, and you're out there and you're hustling and you're
All right.
bringing people to surface that really are so extraordinary that may not have had the chance.